Thanks, Palmer. Coach, just wanted to get an update on Dario, Kelly in terms of his status. I know Ellie, they just announced Ellie practiced today. How did he look? And then just the news on Aaron Baines being en route. I know he got to go through quarantine, but just the news of that.
Yeah, first Dario, he went through a ton of treatment yesterday. He's still listed as day to day. He's walking normally. Is that a word? He's walking with a normal gait today, and that's a good thing. But he's still day to day, and we're just gonna just monitor him. I don't have an update on Kelly at all. Ellie did practice today, and it's good to see him on the floor. The guys were really excited to have him back in the fold, and surprisingly, he looked in pretty good condition for somebody who hasn't been around the program and had the kind of attention that he has not had. He looked pretty good today. So, and last one was Aaron. He's en route, and that's about all I can say about that. And we'll be happy to get him back into the gym and video sessions and all the stuff we've been doing here. It'll be great.
All right, next up we have Kellen Olson, Arizona Sports. He will be followed by Gina Mizell. Go ahead, Kellen.
Hey, Coach. Ricky and Ellie just went through the same process that Aaron is going through right now. What were your conversations like with those three specifically, and just kind of it's a really tough headspace for them, right, to kind of like switch back to basketball here, and the same thing you guys went through a couple of weeks ago. Just what have your talks been like with them to kind of center them, I guess? I'm not really sure how to phrase it.
No, I mean, that's the state I'm in most of the time I stand here and talk. But you try to listen to those guys, listen to the staff that, know their situation medically. You have to, temper yourself as excited as you are to get guys back into the mix. You also have to be aware that they've been out of pocket for a while. And so you don't want to push too hard. And I realize anything I say is has a level of weight on it, and so I never want to say anything that's going to make them feel uncomfortable or rush them to get back on the floor. As a matter of fact, I've had to hold Ricky back in practices when we've had scrimmage time with him. I've had to give him the 2 hands up to just take your time, and I'll do the same thing with the guys we get back, because we don't want to put anybody in harm's way. As excited as we are to, have somewhat of a full roster, we don't want to put anybody in a situation where they hurt themselves because they're excited to get back.
Next up, we have Gina Mizell. She will be followed by Dave King, Bright Side of the Sun.
Hey, Monty. I guess the big sports news of the day, which I imagine you've seen, is the Miami Marlins and the outbreak on their team. And so when you hear of something like that, does it give you pause, or does it just reinforce what you've said so often about the bubble situation and the environment the NBA has created for you?
Yeah, Gina, I think it's both. It does give you pause because we're a brotherhood. They may not be in the NBA, but we all are in this business of sports and entertainment, but it's the stuff we love to do. And so when you hear about coaches and players coming down with this in their environment, it makes you think, how grateful we have been here in the NBA. You think about those guys and their families, those guys and whatever long-term effects may come because of this virus. But I'll reiterate it as much as I have to. The league has done so much to keep us safe, and to be honest with you, the guys, the players, staff, everybody here has done an unreal job of just trying to follow protocol. You only hear about a couple of situations that may have pushed the envelope a little bit or gotten a little bit out of hand. But for the most part, everybody here is trying to make this thing work. And I think the players, for sure, should be commended for that. I mean, getting tested every day is not something that we do. I forgot last week and didn't remember until late in the day that I had forgotten to test. And thankfully I got down there before the day was over with. It's just not something that we are used to doing. And so, yeah, I heard about that situation. You hope that they can get it under control. And I think they canceled a game, which was probably the right thing to do until they can get that situation under control.
All right, next we have Dave King with Bright Side of the Sun. He will be followed by Lucas Nepomuceno of Cafe Belgrado in Brazil.
Oh, that was pretty good. And Monty, how you doing today? Thank you. So in the first couple of scrimmage games, I know this is just scrimmage games and all that, but the assists have been way down. Assists per game have been way down versus what you guys had for the whole first 65 games and preseason. To what would you attribute that? Is that changes in the offense? Is that going to continue, or what are you thinking about with that?
No, I think, well, the one game was a 40-minute game, so maybe you could add a few. The other day, our shot quality and open shots were at a high level. We missed a ton of shots. And then there were situations where we did not play in good to great. You know, we took good shots and didn't pass to a great shot. We showed about 4 or 5 of those this morning or this afternoon with our guys. But the ball moved. I mean, we're still a high pass team. All of our guys who are primary ball handlers, Book, Ricky, DA, and now McHale, those guys were finding guys. We just have to knock down shots. And I anticipate we're going to have one of those games where it comes around and the shots start falling. The thing that I was pleased with was our defensive rating. Defensively, we played about as good of defense as you can against the team that just knocked down tough shots. But when we looked at the film, the defense was better than I thought. But we're not making shots. I wouldn't attribute that to selfishness or anything like that. We're just, missing a lot of shots.
All right, next up we have Lucas Nepomuceno from Cafe Belgrado. He will be followed by a follow-up question from Dwayne Rankin, Arizona Republic.
Thank you. That was pretty good. Hi, Coach. Can you talk about Rubio's presence, what he can do for Aiton's game, and can we expect DeAndre to take more threes this season?
Yeah, Lucas, we feel that Devin is an unreal scorer, but the thing that has impressed me and our staff is his ability to make plays for other people. He sees a blitz almost every game, and he constantly works on getting that pass out and finding guys. He draws 2 and he finds the open man, and his ability to do that only enhances DA when we put those guys in pick and roll or in 2-man game situations. So those two have the ability to be a great 2-man combo. And we're going to try to exploit that as much as we can. And DA's ability to shoot threes is something that we want to grow. He works on it every day. And I think it's something that, can keep teams honest, but I also don't want him to run away from the paint because he has that ability to score, and his dives in pick and roll generate a ton of offense for the rest of our team.
All right, next up we have Dwayne Rankin, Arizona Republic. He will be followed by Kellen Olson, Arizona Sports. Go ahead, Dwayne.
Thanks. Coach, you mentioned earlier, looking at Lou Williams in that situation, do you just see that as a blimp in what's going on? Because we haven't heard anything like that, obviously, before or since. And then 2, the 10 days, is that the kind of message that you think will deter other guys from veering?
I heard about it just like you guys. My dealings with Lou is he's a pretty good dude, and every time I've been around him, he's always I've always gotten a great vibe from him. I've always heard good stuff about him. It's just a situation where a guy made a mistake, and unfortunately, everything we do, somebody's going to have a cell phone, and you know, you got to be careful. And so I don't think it's a commentary on who Lou is at all. You know, those guys are playing for a championship, and he's one of their important players. So I don't think he would jeopardize that in any way. And so I think it's a blip on the screen, to be honest with you. And I think I'll say it again, man. I've watched the players every day. Everybody's inside the bubble. You don't see anybody walking outside of the boundaries. The guys are getting tested. You don't see anybody fussing about getting tested. And I don't think people understand the level of sacrifice that everybody's undertaking here. I mean, yeah, we get paid, and we get paid a lot more money for me, for sure, than I deserve. But this is a sacrifice. I mean, these guys have been away from their families now for 3 weeks, and that's can wear on you. And so that's the uncertainty that we all have to navigate here, because many people are suffering outside this bubble. We are away from our families. There's a ton going on, and then you just have life, you know, in our country and in the world that has continued. So I don't know Lou, but I know he's a good dude, and I would categorize that situation as a blip on the screen.
And a question comes from Kellen Olson, Arizona Sports. Go ahead, Kellen.
Hey, Coach, to kind of go off what you were just mentioning there, when Ricky talked last week, he rightfully so sounded like someone whose mind wasn't completely on basketball. And I'm sure you guys are all there too. But with 2 games under the lights now, you're approaching 3 weeks on practice. Do you guys feel like as a team, you guys are fully mentally as far as you can get towards being in the basketball mode, I guess, the way to phrase it? What's the balance and trade-off been like with missing your family and everything else going on in the world and so on?
What's the most normal thing that we get to do? You know what I'm saying? We have a situation in our country that has not been resolved, and it won't be resolved for a long time. You have a situation where Breonna Taylor's case has not been resolved, and that conversation needs to be kept on the table until it does become resolved, and the men that did that need to be brought to justice. We have other situations of inequality in our country, from education to healthcare, and not just targeted at African Americans. It's across the board with the poorer people in our country. And then we have, I think we're 100 days away from an election. And so there's a lot going on. And then you have everybody's personal situation. There's tons of people, 50 million, I think, without jobs, many more million going into more debt because of the current situation in our country. You take that into consideration, and you just try to focus on basketball. The one thing that people forget is that not everybody in our families make the money that we make. And that puts a lot of pressure on players to want to provide for the people in their families that have valid needs. And so, yeah, I mean, yeah, we get to play ball, but there's other concerns going on in all of our lives that are on our minds and hearts.
Apologies, Coach. We have one more question that comes from Charlie La Pastora from Fox.
This is like the third last question. How many times y'all going?
Hey, Charlie, go ahead with your question.
And you guys see my smile? Like, this is 3 final questions.
I see the smile, Coach. Thanks for taking this one. Hey, I know that, you know, keeping it all in perspective, and, you know, we're all just blessed, doing better than we deserve. And I'm just wondering if there's a way too, because there was, you know, hesitancy from some players about even playing, what this could do maybe for morale. Sports brings people together. And what could this do for people, maybe you guys playing in this bubble, for our society to have sports during a crazy time like we're all facing?
No, I think that the one thing that's been on my mind is just being here. I've watched the people in the hotels. I've watched the security people. I've watched the people that are preparing our food and people that are behind the scenes. They get a chance to work. And I think the players have to realize that they get a chance to be a part of that process. Yes, sports is healing and unifying, but sports also provides jobs for more than just players and coaches. And there's a ton of people behind the scenes that could sustain their financial situation, could pull themselves out of debt, could hold on to their medical insurance, dental insurance, vision insurance, just because they get a chance to work. And I think that's a special thing when you get to be a part of that process that allows other people to hold on to their jobs. And so we're blessed, and we say it all the time. You guys are probably tired of it. This is a get to and not a got to. But one of the get tos is we get to be a part of that process, not just the healing that goes along with families who get together and watch sports, but we get to be a part of the process whereby many people behind the scenes in the media, in service industries that are related to sports, get a chance to work and take care of their families.
All right. Thank you very much for your time today, Coach.
All right. See you guys.
Ricky Rubio is up next, all.
All right. Good afternoon. First question, we're going to start with Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic. He will be followed by Kellen Olson with Arizona Sports. Go ahead, Dwayne.
Thanks, Palmer. Ricky, how did it feel in that first game? I know you talked about, going into it, how you might feel, talking with trainers, coaches. But how'd you feel after that first one?
Pretty good. A little rusty out there, but it's going to take a little while. But we don't have a lot of time, so I'm good. I'm healthy, and I'm happy to be out there playing and trying to get on Fridays the best shape I can be.
All right. Next up is Kellen Olson with Arizona Sports. He will be followed by Ferdinand Rivera with La Guerra de la NBA. Go ahead, Kellen.
Hey, Ricky, I know you went through the process a week and a half ago rejoining the team. Ellie just did, and Aaron's about to do the same thing. Can you tell us a bit about just your process mentally and kind of shifting into basketball mode, so to say, and just how you can kind of share that insight with both Ellie and Aaron going through the same thing, traveling at a later date?
Yeah, I mean, the goal is not picking it up right away. It's taking step by step. You can skip steps because then it's when injuries and all this stuff happen. So I think the most important thing is being able to listen to your body, to really know what you're capable of, and really go by the feelings. It's an unknown situation, so it's hard to really go through by example in the past. So it's something new. So like I said, go by the feeling, how your body feels every day, and don't expect big things right away. Go step by step.
All right, next up we have Ferdinand Rivera with La Guerra de la NBA. He will be followed by Gina Mizell. Go ahead, Ferdinand.
Saludos, Ricky. ¿Cómo ven las probabilidades del equipo entrar a los playoffs?
Difíciles, pero para eso estamos aquí, para hacer cosas difíciles. Tenemos que saber que no podemos cometer casi ningún error y incluso así tenemos que esperar a que otros equipos pierdan, ¿no? Pero estamos aquí para mejorar día a día, para que este proyecto vaya sumando sus pasitos y que consigamos en un futuro lo que queremos.
All right, next up we have Gina Mizell, and she will be followed by Charlie LaPastora with Fox 10. Go ahead, Gina.
Hey, Ricky, I'm just curious to get your thoughts on Campaign, obviously the new addition on your roster. Just what have you seen out of him in practice, in game situation? Just kind of what have your impressions been of him since joining the team and since you getting back?
Oh, he got a good feeling of the game. He can run the team, know where everybody at. He's not a rookie. He's been in the league and around long enough to know how this NBA works. So I know he's adjusting to a new team on the fly, but he's bringing us a lot of energy off the bench and high IQ.
All right, next up we have Charlie LaPastora with Fox 10. He will be followed by Cody Cunningham with the Phoenix Suns.
Hey, Ricky, I know before this whole bubble, you're encouraging guys, something along the lines of anything can happen. And with your experience having a playoff format like this, when really, teams are in similar playing fields in one location. What might you be encouraging guys in the locker room? What might you be saying to guys with the experience that you're bringing in your leadership?
Well, you can compare it to a World Cup or European Championship, I guess. But actually, it's totally different. It's the NBA. But it's true that you're in the same hotel as other teams. You share 24/7, and everybody's different. But what I miss the most is, of course, the family, and it's hard not being able, and mentally it gets into your mind, and every day it gets harder and harder. So it's going to be more than physically, mentally tough for teams who advance to rounds to be focused on what it takes to win championship.
All right, next up is Cody Cunningham with the Phoenix Suns. He will be followed by Lucas Nepomuceno with Cafe Belgrado in Brazil. Go ahead, Cody.
Hey, Ricky, I just wanted to get some insight into what was your mindset going into your first game? You know, how great did it feel to get back on the court, and how excited you are for all this to officially begin?
Really excited to really be back out there. The goal wasn't like stats or winning. It was about feeling good by myself, and physically, mentally, and being able to really feel the game again. I know it's a weird situation with not being able to really go through a good training camp and then no fans. It's all new and adjustments, but I felt good. It's something that, like I said, taking step by step, didn't go 100% right away because physically I'm not there yet, but eventually I want to get on Friday to the best shape again.
All right, next up we have Lucas from Cafe Belgrado. He'll be followed by Evan Sidery with Forbes. Go ahead, Lucas.
Thank you. Hi, Ricky. This season so far is not so great record-wise for the Suns, but we can certainly see the talent on the team. How high is the upside of this team, not only for the rest of the season, but especially for the next years?
Yeah, I think the team has a lot of potential. We have Book, who's an all-star this year and made a big step forward to become that kind of guy. And then we got a lot of young guys who are becoming like Mikel, DA, Cam. There's a lot of guys who has improved a lot, with Dario Saric being a great improvement from when the season stopped to when we restarted again. So I think we have a good core of guys where we can take this to the next level and hopefully make the playoffs soon.
All right, next up we have Evan Sidery with Forbes. He will be followed by Dwayne Rankin with Arizona Republic. Go ahead, Evan.
Hey, Ricky, just want to get your thoughts on Mikhail. It looks like the first two games been in the bubble. He's been very aggressive offensively, very confident on that end. What have you seen personally out of Mikhail since you've been down there?
He worked on his game a lot and he improved a lot. He's capable to really do a lot of things. Physically, he's really good, and then he can knock down shots, run the floor, finish around the rim, and understanding how and when to be aggressive. And he's been aggressive these two games, but we expect even more about him because we see what he can do in practices, and it's been a great force for us.
All right, Ricky, final two questions will come from Dwayne Rankin with Arizona Republic and then Ferdinand Rivera with La Guerra de la NBA. Go ahead, Dwayne.
Ricky, just to stay along that same theme, just what's your impressions of Ayton? He's hit a couple threes and guys have raved about how good a shape he's in. And then how do you approach this last scrimmage game? It's a scrimmage. You want to play well, but it doesn't count in wins and losses. How do you approach the third scrimmage?
The DA has been unbelievable the way he progressed and he got better in his game and he had some stuff that we didn't think that he needed, but he even worked on that three and spacing the floor, and it's going to help us a lot. So he's in a really good shape, but he's a monster. He can run the floor. He even can put the ball down and trust him more on that and just help us. And then the last game, it's about the same as me, the second one. being approached as getting back in shape as fast as we can and get better and be ready for Friday.
All right, final question comes from Ferdinand Rivera with La Guerra de la NBA. Go ahead, Ferdinand.
A través de los años, el baloncesto europeo sigue creciendo. ¿Cómo has visto su evolución?
Perdona, que estaban hablando. Dime.
A través de los años, el baloncesto internacional sigue creciendo. ¿Cómo has visto su evolución ahora con Lucas y Giannis?
No, está creciendo muchísimo. Creo que tenemos que agradecer a jugadores pues, en su momento como Dirk Nowitzki, Tony Parker, Pau Gasol y muchos más, Manu Ginóbili. Y todos los que han venido y han abierto un poco el camino para nosotros han hecho que esto sea posible y por eso ahora todo el talento, ¿no? Pues desde Doncic a Porzingis a muchos jugadores de Europa, de fuera de Estados Unidos, de South America también, viniendo y siendo grandes estrellas, ¿no? Y hay mucho talento y creo que están haciendo un gran trabajo.